Okay, we're going to start out chapter 13, which is, during this chapter, we're going to discuss how we acquire some of these microbes that can cause infection and disease. And first of all, we need to note that our body exists in a state of dynamic equilibrium with these microorganisms. It's always changing. It's trying to have a peaceful coexistence with these microorganisms and to stay healthy. And we know that if we keep being exposed to these microorganisms over time, that sometimes the balance tips in favor of the microbes, and we have more microbes in our body at a time, and so we get sick. And so we have this host-parasite relation that develops. We need to remember that our body surfaces are constantly exposed to microbes, and they can grow or colonize on our body surfaces, and eventually that can lead to infection. And when the infection damages or disrupts our tissues and organs, we call that disease. And there's a term at the bottom, infectious disease, that we need to be familiar with, which is the disruption of a tissue or organ that's caused by microbes or by their products, like a toxin or something like that, that could excuse me, cause problems for us because of this infection and this constant exposure. Now, we have resident biota that are commonly found on our body, and actually it's surprising to note that there are 10 times more of these microbes present on our body than are human cells. We have these normal resident biota that live there, our normal flora that lives in our GI tract that helps us digest our food. And if you'll look on page 357, you'll see table 13.1, where we have sites that harbor a known normal biota, like our skin and our mucous membranes, our respiratory tract, our GI tract, the external ear canal, the external genitalia. It's important to note when you look through this list that all of them are exposed to the external environment. Now, a term that we'll use to designate a sterile or germ-free environment is an actinic environment. And these are places in the body that should be sterile normally, not to say they can't get microbes and cause problems, but you know, your heart and your circulatory system should be sterile. Your kidneys, your brain, your bones, your muscles, all of these should be sterile environments, as well as fluids in your organs and tissues like saliva, cerebrospinal fluid, urine. This table also is on page 357 in your textbook. Now, our normal biota are the ones that are present on our body, and there are over 800 different species of these. We have them externally, skin and eyes, and then internally. Our nose has them, our mouth has them, the intestinal tract has the most, and then of course the vagina and the urethra. Now, some terms that we need to be familiar with: microbial antagonism. These are microbes that are protective. They protect us against other microbes. And endogenous infection are caused by biota that are normally present in the body. We all know that we have E. coli in our digestive tract. It helps us break down our food. But if it gets out of the digestive tract into the urinary tract, then we end up with a UTI, or a urinary tract infection. Now, how do we acquire normal biota? First of all, through the birth canal, feeding, breathing, and then they list some other ways as well, things that we are exposed to. Some things that increase susceptibility to infection or problems with these microbiota. Of course, old age. Your immune system doesn't work as efficiently when you're very old or very young. Also, if you have any kind of surgery or organ transplants, stress can cause us to be more susceptible, and other infections as well.